Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Welcome to my show. We always talk about a wide range of subjects on this show, and today we're talking about really a crisis in this country, and we're talking about addiction with one of the leading experts in the country, Dr. Fred Hansen. He's with Life Management Resources. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. It's a privilege to be here.
Well, now, how long have you been in the addiction treatment world?
Probably longer than you've been alive. I mean, close to 40 years.
No kidding.
Yes.
Now, in 40 years, what have you seen in terms of the problem? I feel like it's gotten worse.
It has been. A lot of it's been, recently, has been the results of opiates and fentanyl that's been brought in. And that creates a demand, and because everybody that's an addict is looking for a better high than what they had.
Yes.
So trying to get another product that will improve on that. Of course, that just puts a higher demand on the treatment industry as well. But it has gotten worse. Alcohol issues have not gotten any better over the years.
It does seem like we live in a take a pill mentality. You know, the whole society now. I think if I think back to my grandparents' days, is you kind of toughed it out. Life is not a bowl of cherries, and then you have a problem, and you're going to be okay, and you're going to struggle through it. And now it's like, oh, I'm feeling stressed. I better take a pill.
That's true. And that's unfortunate. We wrote almost 300 million prescriptions for antidepressants last year.
Wow.
That's enough for almost one for every one of us. I don't have anything against antidepressants. They're a wonderful product. The question is we need to ask is when you're depressed, which is why are you depressed?
Yes.
Let's talk about this and work through that. Same way with negative feelings we have, which leads us into addiction. Why do we keep drinking more, taking more pills, prescription meds, illegal substances? Now we're legalizing some of it.
Right. And so that brings up the conversation about seniors who are battling addiction, because a lot of the folks in their 60s and 70s were part of the peace, love, generation of the 60s. Yes. And now these same ones, I mean, the grandparents, who really should be more responsible, are the ones who are, finding themselves
absolutely
in the grips of addiction.
Well, it's availability. It's still that I need something to make me feel good, and there's really not a lot of difference. We do have a big problem with the senior citizens because, there's a level of boredom, and they want something more exciting to do. They see younger people around them having a great time. They want to do the same thing too. So I'll find some kind of med to make me feel better, get me going better. And
yes.
It's a problem.
I'm going to put up your website. It's a beautiful website, and I know you do a lot more than just addiction. You also deal with mental health issues. Why don't you run down kind of a list of some of the things that you guys do?
Well, we primarily work with the diagnosis of addiction, but then beyond that, probably 90 to 95% of all of our patients have another comorbid mental health issue. Depression, bipolar, some minor levels of schizoaffective disorders. The more severe ones, they obviously require a higher level of care, but we try to deal with everything very holistically. We work with the families of everyone in the program. We work with, even if they have younger children, we will bring those in with a counselor that works with that group and help them try to understand what's going on. Because addiction creates a codependent family.
Yes.
And if you don't help the family as well, then the person who's trying to get help is going to destroy what the family has. They begin cycling one way to accommodate the alcoholic or the addict, but when they get healthy, they're still going that wrong way. So we've got to help them learn to get back in sync with good, normal behavior.
Yes, and I know the addiction field is really crowded. There are a lot of players now.
Yeah.
but let's make this kind of a buyer beware. Not all treatment facilities and drug addiction operations really are getting to the root of the problem.
Well, we're very much a trauma-based addiction program. In other words, our goal is not to try to get you to stop drinking today. I know why you drink today, or I know why you use today. The question is, why did you do that in the first place?
Right.
And so we call that the underlying pathology. And that's what we spend our efforts in individual counseling with everyone, trying to discover what that is. I was hiring a new counselor about 10 or 12 years ago. And I'd been through maybe a dozen people, and I'd ask them a simple question, what do you think the solution is to getting rid of addiction? And finally, one young man came in, and he was an intern. He said, well, I tell you, it's kind of like a yard that's got a weed in it. You can mow over it day after day, but until you get a shovel and you dig it out by the roots.
Wow.
And I said, can you start tomorrow? And
that's a great analogy.
Literally, and I've always thought of that response. That's exactly what we're doing. We're trying. You got to get it under the roots there. You got to find out what the source of it is. What things happened in your life that created that ongoing need to continue to find a solution of a way to self-medicate.
So when you run into an addict who's been through a dozen or more treatment programs, what are they not getting to?
The underlying pathology. That's always the first question. They'll say, well, I've been through 10 treatment programs, and I've been here and there. Okay, let's go back. Tell me about your family, like when you were born, or how far back can you go? Tell me about the things that have happened to your life. When did you first start using? Well, I started using it at 10 years old. What happened at 10? Well, we had a divorce, and my dad took one kid, and mother took another kid, and you see, okay, this is opening up. That question isn't asked enough. It takes more training and it takes more experience, but a good counselor can certainly do that, and many of them do. But
do you? What are your views on marijuana? Because the society as a whole is basically saying, hey, it's no worse than a beer. Do you see marijuana as a gateway drug to harder substances?
I do. Plano Police Department Officer Perro, he's a fellow who interviews everybody. He's sort of an addiction specialist, and he goes and he talks to everyone that comes into the jail, and they've got a DWI or anything, and he starts asking them about their history with drugs and alcohol. And he will tell you that, almost 100%, the first thing they ever touched was was marijuana. And it's grown from there. Marijuana leads me to trying something else or some benzos, and then I move up to some opiates. And, this is just the process.
Right.
And I think it's insane that we're trying to legalize something that contributes to ongoing problems. And there are a lot of medical issues with marijuana.
Well, I know there's been a lot of attention on fentanyl and how fentanyl is getting into drugs on the street, and the addict really doesn't know what they're taking.
They don't. Fentanyl comes from China primarily, so, don't know that I would want to even mess with anything.
Sure.
So that comes from there right now. But it's about 1,000 times stronger than heroin.
Wow.
And so they like it because they can cut it down. But that's assuming that the person that's doing that knows what they're doing. So we're having more overdoses and deaths from fentanyl than we are from opiates. So it's a horribly powerful drug. Very few people really get addicted to fentanyl because they die before they get addicted to it. It's just incredibly dangerous.
Wow.
Incredibly dangerous.
Well, I'm afraid we're out of time for this segment. We could talk for an hour on this. I know we could. So we'll have to have you back. But we're going to put up the website one more time. If people want to get a hold of you, Dr. Hansen, they just go to your website, lifemanagementresources.com.
Yes, sir.
And you'll be glad to see them. Well, thank you so much for
Jeff.
being on the show. This is wonderful.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yep, you bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.